Hello, good morning. Um, I wanted to take this time on a Sunday to unload and talk about something that is very deeply personal to me and a story that I've been following for quite some time now. And I've been asking close friends I know for answers, and it seems like I'm not really getting anywhere with it, and neither are they. It's almost like there were other people I was talking to that were spreading misinformation, and now I'm not really sure. Um, but I think there are people out there who don't want me to know the truth. I think they're trying to keep me quiet. I do feel like they are trying to keep me quiet. But I do know that there are some things that are just not really matching up for me. I found out recently that the Air National Guard and the Air Force work together. A little background, my father was in the Air National Guard uh, during the Vietnam War. He was in communications, and then he was in the Navy during Desert Storm, and he was also in communications. Now, I've recently discovered that the Navy and the Air National Guard and the Air Force all took part in MK Ultra. They all had a hand in it. Now, MK Ultra the original MK Ultra started in 1950 and ended in the 1970s, 1973, I think. And during this time, my uncle Hap Luttrell, he is my biological mother's adoptive uncle or adoptive great uncle. It's her mother's uh, husband's brother. So it's my mom's adoptive father's brother, Hap Luttrell. He worked as a train conductor in Las Vegas, in Nevada, during the time of MK Ultra. And his brother, Bud Luttrell, happened to be in the CIA. Now there's a story in Ancestry. I looked up the records for Bud Luttrell, and Ancestry has made it look like Bud Luttrell died at birth, which I'm pretty sure that the CIA probably had something to do with that. My mom has this theory that um, there was a cover up, that his wife and their child died and they covered it up. It made it look like he was never, like he died as a child. And my mom has pictures of him as an adult standing near his brother. They can do things like that. I don't know what Bud Luttrell did in the CIA. Of course, we don't know that information. Um, my mom was a kid then, so she doesn't really know a lot. But, the family doesn't know that kind of stuff. When somebody is working for the CIA, we're not privy to that information. So we don't know that kind of stuff. I don't know that kind of stuff. Um, but and then my grandmother, Hazel Bentley, was subjected to electroshock treatments. When she was 16 years old, she was caught in Yuba City mental hospital or something like that. She was in, or no, it wasn't Yuba City. It was, what was the name of that hospital? I gotta go look it up now. What was the name of that hospital? Let me go find. No, that's not it. No. 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 That's in Anchorage. No, those are not. Let me see if it's on the other tree. I gotta see if it's on the other tree. I think in this tree. I've got several different trees. Nope. Here it is. She was a patient, Napa State Hospital, mental hospital. She was a patient at Napa State Hospital in the 1950s, and in the 1950s, that was 3 years before MK Ultra officially started. But Napa State Hospital was prone to using electroshock treatments as one of their means of treatments. She was only 16 years old. Uh, 16 years old, she got electroshock treatments. Nobody knows why. Nobody knows why she got them. They say she had mental illness, but... And then the family says she went in and out of hospitals her whole life. However, that is the only public record of my grandmother Hazel ever being in a hospital at all on record, is the one from Napa Hospital, Napa State Mental Hospital. There are no other records of her ever being in a mental facility except for that one. So I think there is some discrepancy there, possibly. I think it's also interesting that my brother, whose name is Eric, looks exactly like Leif Erikson. My mom, who was born in 1966 in a certain part of California, also has another lady with almost the exact same birth name as her, who was born in 1954, just miles away from her in another city in California. With almost the exact same name. They look almost identical. There are some differences, but there are some similarities as well. They look like they could be related. I wouldn't go so far as to say clones, because they don't look close enough to be clones. They're not exact replicas, but they're close enough that they could be related somehow. They're both Bentleys. I do think they're related somehow, but I don't know how. I think it is very interesting, though. And then my mom says, she said this thing: people thought I stole you from the Indian reservation because you started off so dark and then you just kept getting lighter. I never will figure that out. But there's this picture that this lady who I met in Nashville, Tennessee, she went by Renee Herron. And I think I found this lady whose name is Renee Herron, but it's not her first name. Renee is actually her middle name. I think I found her. She claimed that she was my surrogate mother, that she knew Angel, and that Angel couldn't give birth. Now, there's this other thing where I know that my father beat my mom over the head, and I know my mom has suffered memory loss. I know this. She thinks she has dementia. I know that she suffered memory loss. And I found out recently that there's this thing in the Navy. Let me go find it. Let me go find it. Yes, both the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Air Force, which includes the Air National Guard, were involved in activities related to the CIA's Project MKUltra through the involvement varied in scope and nature. U.S. Navy involvement. The Navy was directly involved in specific sub-projects related to MKUltra and its predecessors, Project Bluebird and Project Artichoke. So Project Bluebird and Project Artichoke could have very well been involved with Napa Valley State Hospital. I'd have to go look some more into research for that, but it is a very good possibility that they might have had something to do with that hospital. I don't know. The Navy funded experiments through the Naval Medical Research Institute, including research into the development of truth drugs and interrogation techniques. The Navy was involved in Sub-Project 54 of MKUltra, an effort related to memory erasure using suboral frequency blasts, though the program was reportedly never carried out. The Navy also provided cover for some research projects and in some cases acted as a conduit for funds from the CIA to external researchers. Okay, so the U.S. Air Force, by extension the Air National Guard, was involved in the broader context of the military's cooperation with the CIA on drug testing and behavioral modification research during the Cold War era. Okay, so memory erasure using suboral frequency blast. Though the program was reportedly never carried out. That doesn't mean they didn't use it, though, on another level. So, suboral frequency blast, do you understand what that means? That means V2K, suboral frequency blast is another term for V2 freaking K. Hello. But I think that there was something else. I think that the Navy had ways of doing it to where I know that my father probably had a way of hitting my mom in such a way that caused her brain damage to the part of the brain where she would suffer memory loss and get amnesia, at least to a certain extent. Because there are certain things that I specifically remember that she cannot recall. And I know for a fact that they happened. I know for a fact that they were there. But she can't remember them being there. Like, I know that there was a house across the street. There was this lady with a lot of kids across the street. But my mom swears that the house was never there. No, the house got torn down when the lady moved out. She more than likely probably moved and the house got torn down. Or there was a fire in the house. My mom said that there was a fire in the house we were at. No, there was not a fire in the house we were at because my mom took me to the house that we grew up at, and the house was still there. No, the house across the street from us, where the lady was that had all the kids, probably caught on fire. And my mom is just not remembering it correctly. It would make more sense for a house across the street to have caught fire and for it not to be there now. Because when I went back in 2000, whatever year it was, I think it was 2006 that I went back, she took me back to the house that I grew up in, and it was still there, and it didn't look like it had been touched by fire. It had ivy growing all over it. But it did not look like it had been touched by fire at all. But if a house was caught by fire, you would expect the house not to be there. And the house that was across the street from us was not there, which would indicate that it had gotten burned down. Hello. Duh. Not rocket science. Put two and two together. But there's this other thing. I keep having visions. I had this vision when I was in Sacramento that I saw that Renee had been on the sidewalk. She had been on the walkway of the Salvation Army. And she had given birth to me and this other twin. But I couldn't really see the twin. I could only see me, but I knew that there was another twin. I kept trying to go back to that vision again. And the more I kept going back to that vision, I noticed that the other twin was stillborn. It was dead. The other twin was dead. I had absorbed all the nutrients. And the other baby didn't get enough nutrients. And it wasn't my fault. I didn't know. I couldn't have done anything about it. It was just the way that it happened. In the vision, the other baby was dead. But the situation wasn't a situation that I could have done anything about being in the womb. It was a matter of blood. See, the other baby was O negative, and I was A positive. For some reason, I absorbed the O negative blood. And that's why I have two blood types. And even my doctor, Dr. Khalili, let it slip that I had two blood types. But he couldn't tell me what that second blood type was. He wouldn't tell me. It's like there was some big secret. He couldn't tell me what it was. And then I saw another vision. I saw another vision to where I was at this children's home, and it ended up being in Los Angeles. I thought that it was in Mississippi. I kept thinking that it was in Mississippi, but it ended up being in Los Angeles. But I didn't know I was going to be there. But there was this children's home, and I kept seeing myself there, and there were all these kids there, and three people stood out to me who were there at this children's home with me, and this was in California. Pink was there, Alicia Moore. Eminem was there, and Billy Joe Armstrong was there. And we were all there at this children's home. I don't know why. But in this vision, we were all there at this children's home. And I kept seeing this. And I went to Angela's temple one time. And they told me about the Dream Center. I had heard about the Dream Center and decided I'd give it a whirl, and I would, try it out anyway. I stayed for a night, decided that it wasn't for me. I didn't feel comfortable being there. So they decided to try to take me to one of their sister programs, which was there was this other program they had. Well, they had the Dream Center, and then they had this other one. Can't remember the name of it. Shoot, what was it? I don't remember the name of it right now. But anyway, so they had this other smaller place. So I went there, and the minute that I walked in the door, I instantly recognized the place. It was the same place from my visions. And I asked the guy at the front office, and I asked him, I said, "Did this place used to be a children's home?" He said, "About what year?" I said, "In the late 1980s, maybe early 1990s. He said, "Yeah, it was around that time. Yeah, it was a maternity home for women and children. Yeah, around the late 1980s, early 1990s. Yeah." And I thought that was very interesting because it was like it was very strange that I saw that vision and was there, but I had seen myself there, but it was like it wasn't my memory, or was it? It's like, was it really my memory, or was it not my memory? Why did I see that? How did I know about that place being a maternity home or being a children's home? Was I really there, or was I seeing somebody else? Was I seeing a clone of me? And it was all very strange. I couldn't make heads or tails of it. Later on, I got activated, and for a while, I was a Satanist for a while. And I found out later after I had already quit that I had been practicing black magic, and I didn't know that I was. Well, I knew to a certain extent that I was practicing black magic, but I was doing a certain type of black magic that I didn't realize was black magic. I was doing a form of channeling, like possession channeling, and me and my certain significant others, we would have sexual rituals with these possession channelings. It was, but I was trying to figure out the cloning thing because I was trying to figure out why I was being psychically attacked. I wanted to know why I was hearing all these people in my head, or why I was experiencing all these things, and I didn't understand about V2K. I didn't understand about cloning. I didn't understand about that yet. I wasn't that far yet. I only understood there had to be some kind of magic going on, that somebody must be doing some kind of voodoo on me or something. So I would try to do it back and see what happens. And nothing ever happened the way I wanted. I never got anybody to physically show any signs that they knew anything was going on, or show any signs of communication or anything. So that kind of fizzled out. But they activated me in 2017, and that's when I started singing to the cloning center. And it got very, very weird very, very quickly. There were a lot of very strange events that I don't feel comfortable talking about completely just yet, because it's a lot. I mean, when I say it's a lot, it's dark. I mean, it's really freaking dark. There's a lot of really dark shit that it's just really freaking crazy stuff. And every single manner of evil you can think of is down in the cloning center. I'm just gonna say it like that. Every single manner of evil you can think of is down in the cloning center. And the thing about the cloning center is that you're sitting there watching your clones do things that you don't really want to do. But you're watching your clones do things that, even if you were to control it or not to control it, they just want to show. The people who are controlling this, they just want to show. They just want to see what you're going to do with it. Now, a lot of people say that the cloning centers aren't real. They want to say that they're not real, but Donald Marshall has already come out about this. He's already let you know that this stuff is real. He's already warned you that it's real, and he's not the only one who's let you know that it's real. And everything that Donald Marshall said about the cloning centers are real. The only thing that I will dispute is that Camp David, he said that Camp David was where clones went to get their chip fixed. I looked into it and did some deep diving, and Camp David is a presidential retreat. Mind you, it is a house where the president goes on for vacations. So unless there is an underground bunker there, or it leads somewhere else, that is incorrect. There may be more to it than what I think, but him saying that clones go to Camp David to get their chips fixed, and that If you go to Camp David every 6 months, that is some way to verify that you are in fact a clone. Well, I don't know that I can neither confirm or deny that, but I can say that if you look up Camp David, it is in fact a presidential retreat. And that's what it shows. Now, that doesn't mean that that's all that it is. That's what it's staged to look like. There could be an underground base there. There could be an underground bunker there that they may very well be doing things underground. But I can neither confirm or deny that. I don't know. All I'm saying is what it looks like at the surface level. That's all I know. I got a lot of Freemasons in my family too. My mom's adoptive father's father owned two Masonic lodges, one in Georgia and one in California. And then my adoptive grandfather was a Scottish Rite Shriner. So like everywhere I go, there's like all these different people that are all seemingly involved in some kind of something going on. I just want answers. I don't. I mean, I know that this is probably going to make me a target. I know, but I'm hoping that someone out there can give me some answers as to why I'm experiencing all this stuff. I understand that, and see, here's the thing. Yes, I got diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, but here's the thing. I don't believe that everyone who says that they've been cloned all have schizoaffective disorder, and I don't believe that it's fair to people who believe that they've been cloned to all label us as just having schizoaffective disorder simply because we believe we've been cloned. I mean, we could have schizoaffective disorder and there could be other reasons, but I don't think that it's fair to just say we have schizoaffective disorder if V2K is proven to be going on, or if cloning is being proven to go on. Did you know that Mississippi and Nevada both are states that do not have any actual laws against human cloning? They do not individually have any inherent laws against human cloning. Do you know where I was raised at? I was raised in Mississippi. And guess where Area 51 is? In Nevada. But they want to tell you that Area 51 is all about planes. I have this inner knowing that Area 51 is not just about planes. Area 51 is not just about U.S. spacecraft or UFO spacecraft or airplanes or whatever else. It's not just about that. There is this ongoing belief, take it for what you will, there is this ongoing belief that the military have been, especially the Air Force, have been making trade deals with the Greys in exchange for, um, you know, um, reverse engineering U.S. spacecraft. But what they don't tell you, what the Greys wanted in return, were bodies for experiments for their hybridization program. That's what they don't tell you. They wanted to be able to blend in to the human race because they are trying to build up an army and they do not adapt well to this planet. They're trying to survive here in this planet and crossbreed. But they're not going to tell you that's what they're doing, but think about skinwalkers. Think about reptilians. Think about shapeshifters. Why do you think that they even existed in the first place? All of those. Why do you think they existed in the first place? Now, I know that skinwalkers are a Native American thing. I do know that. However, they all came from the same source, being deities who came down from the fallen angels in different areas of the world who came and mated with women born of man. That is where they all came from. Just to let you know. And yes, there were giants after the flood. There were Nephilim after the flood. They were there before and afterwards. But let you know, Nephilim were not just all giants. You can say the Nephilim were all giants, but the Nephilim were not just all giants. You got to consider the elementals too. I mean, there was more than just giants. There was the fairies, there was the pixies, there was the nymphs, there was the elves, the leprechauns, there were the gnomes, there were the gremlins, the gargoyles, the all of those beings, all of those creatures were there too. There were offshoots. They were also Nephilim, second and third generation. Yes, they were all there. And some of them got wiped out during the flood. A lot of them got wiped out during the flood. Some of them survived afterwards. The mermaids probably survived afterwards, and the sirens, but do you know that there's still a large part of the ocean that has not been explored yet? We have no idea what is out there because the waters are too treacherous that you can't even go out there and see. You're not allowed to because it's way too deep. You'll get stuck out there. You can't go out there by yourself. You can't go out there with a team because you have no idea what's going on. You'll be stuck out there. It's ill advised. You could be out there for weeks or even months or years. You just really have no idea. You may not come back at all. There's all kinds of stuff that's going on. And you think, if you ask Donald Trump, who was there at the time when Nikola Tesla was going over his plans for the time machine? Oh, but Donald Trump's grandfather or great-grandfather, I believe. Yeah, that's very true. Go look it up. I'm not making this stuff up. No, seriously, go look it up. It's all out there. Go look it up. I'm not kidding you at all. I swear I'm not. And you think that people don't have the kind of technology that they do, but guess what? If they have the means to develop time travel, what makes you think that they don't have the technology 8 years in advance of whatever they tell you that they actually have? Exactly what Donald Marshall tells you. They have 8 years ahead of whatever they tell you that they have already. They know exactly what they're going to do. They have ways of predicting what you're thinking. They know what you're thinking before you can even say it. They know what you're thinking. And they have programmed uh, commands on TV shows and different things based on input that they get from various people around the world. Different conspiracy theories, different things that they know that people are looking to 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 be the next big thing. You know, they pay attention to what people are talking about, to what the buzz is, and then they make movies based on what the buzz and the hype are around, and because they know that's what's going to draw a crowd. But it's also predictive programming because they're 8 years in advance of whatever they tell you that they have, which means that whenever you watch a Simpsons episode and they tell you ahead of time what's going to happen, they're setting you up so that by the time it happens, you can't say that you didn't know. And yet you think that they don't have the means to clone people. Why do you think that Bill Clinton wanted to pass a bill to stop human cloning? Yes, there is a federal law that was that they tried to stop human cloning, but it did not go through. There are individual state laws that ban human cloning, but each state is different. It's a common understanding among majority of states that they can outwardly agree for the majority rules that human cloning is banned, but not all states ban human cloning. There are some states that have no inherent rules for or against human cloning whatsoever. So that is for recreational and for rehabilitational, therapeutic, or for what was the other one? For therapeutic or um uh, reproductive or therapeutic cloning. Yeah, reproductive or therapeutic cloning. But let me explain something to you this much. Just because you don't see it above ground doesn't mean it's not going on underneath your feet. Just because you don't see it above ground doesn't mean it's not happening underground. Why do you think there are deep underground military bases all around the US? Because they believe out of sight, out of mind. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. They're just doing it in secret because they know that if they put it above ground, everybody would see it and there would be a public outcry. That doesn't mean they're not doing it. You got to think ahead. If there was a public outcry and they know that they couldn't get away with it if it's above ground, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to go below ground where nobody sees what they're doing. Think about it.